Race for the White House, a show where we get to the latest from the US election. On today's show, we'll tell you how Donald Trump's campaign rallies have left behind a trail of unpaid dues across the nation. On this other side of the show, we'll also tell you how Trump is facing backlash for violating food safety protocols for his one-day job at McDonald's in Pennsylvania. All of this and much more, so let's get started. Now, Donald Trump may be a billionaire, but it seems like he has quite some bills to pay. Now, Trump's larger-than-life campaign rallies have been packed with massive crowds, confetti showers, and all the pomp and show you'd expect. But behind the scenes, well, there's a bit of a financial storm brewing up. Unpaid bills left across the nation. As Trump's rallies drew tens of thousands of supporters, the costs associated with these large events quickly added up. Cities across America are now struggling to cover the bills for security, venue fees, and emergency services provided during his events. Now, costs that Trump's campaign is yet to pay. This comes just days before the impending presidential poll. Harris' campaign just surpassed $1 billion in fundraising and has raised nearly twice as much as the Trump campaign in the last 3 months. As a matter of fact, the Trump team is experiencing a decline in small donor campaigns. Now, the Trump campaign's financial challenges are only underscored by the growing list of parties to whom he and the entities he represents owe money. Trump's failure to meet payment deadlines stands out due to its long-term pattern. You might be surprised to know that according to a review from NBC News, the largest unpaid invoice comes from El Paso in Texas. Now, the Trump's team is yet to pay a due of about $570,000 from a rally held in the year 2020. The city even hired a few law firms to recover the amount, but to no avail. On the other hand, city officials in the town of Erie in Pennsylvania said that Trump owes them about $40,000 in rally costs. Now, the city of Mesa in Arizona is also waiting for a payment of about $64,000. And this all comes as Trump racks up legal bills for multiple court cases facing him and his campaign. Many reports have also pointed out that Trump has used campaign funds to pay more than $100 million in legal fees. But Trump has a long history of failing to pay his outstanding invoices even before entering politics. In the year 2016, a USA Today investigation found out that 3,500 lawsuits against Trump over the course of 3 decades. Now, this was related to unpaid bills and compensation disputes. Roughly about 24 lawsuits alleged the former president's companies failed to pay overtime or minimum wage to workers. And as of 2020, Trump still owes contractors unpaid for decades. Now, these contractors were involved in the construction and maintenance of the Taj Mahal Hotel in Atlantic City, which opened in the year 1990. And Trump owed about $70 million to more than 250 contractors, many of whom hired workers of their own to fulfill services ranging from installing plumbing to guardrails. However, the hotel closed in the year 2016. So what happens next? Will these cities ever see their money? Unfortunately, the answer isn't clear. It's a messy financial situation with no easy answer. While some cities are considering legal action, others say they may have no choice but to absorb the cost and move on. And with Trump gearing up for another potential run in 2024, there's a chance that even more towns could be left with unpaid bills after future rallies. And now for more on this, we're being joined by White House correspondent Rohit Sharma from Washington, D.C. Thank you, Rohit, for joining us. My first question to you is if you could just go ahead and explain this issue in detail to us.
Look, this isn't the first time President Trump has not paid bills. This has been going on for some time, and obviously he's racked up all those bills. Look, there is a cost associated with every rally. When you book a rental space, you have to have correct security measures. You use city resources, and those costs do pile up. Now, in some of these cases, it has come to light that these cities have not been paid. They've raised the invoice to a Trump campaign multiple times, and the Trump campaign has not responded back, or they still have not paid. The biggest one is about $500,000. It's $500,000 from I think it's from 2019 in Texas. And then there are cities from Arizona. One of them, he owes them 35,000. The other city, Mesa of Arizona, he owes them about 65,000. So all these bills have not been paid. And I think that, he has been raising a lot of money. It does raise a question that why is Donald Trump and his campaign not paying up for these rallies that he talks about?
All right. So does Trump have to make these payments now?
Look, some of these costs, are spent by the city, right? I mean, it's not like Donald Trump said that, I need X amount of police officers or security or resources. I mean, there's a lot that goes on, setting up barricades, using man hours, and the city does not really have a choice because he's an ex-president, and you've got to be able to have enough measures in place to protect the president. So some of it might not even be billable to Donald Trump, but the rules usually could be a little flexible. But it is understood usually that when there is a campaign rally, the cost associated with that does get paid by the campaigns. Now, Bernie Sanders is another example who did not pay up to some of the cities when he was running as for presidency in 2015, 2016. So there are, some other politicians as well, but Donald Trump has had a history of litigations and court cases and whatnot. So it really doesn't surprise that if he finds a bigger room, he's going to exploit it.
So no, the issue that you've just described, is it becoming an obstacle in Trump's campaign?
It's not an election issue per se. We really haven't heard a lot of Democrats jump on this story and talk about it or make it a central talking point even for a day. I think it is more for people like us, who cover campaigns and we'll look at all the nitty-gritties, but it does speak volumes about the character of the person. He's famously stood upon a debate stage with Hillary Clinton in 2016 and said that he's exploited the tax laws, and he was smart enough to do that, to not pay enough taxes. So that comes with Donald Trump's territory of getting away with stuff as long as he can exploit a rule, or a rule could be interpreted the way he wants it to be interpreted. I mean, that's Donald Trump for you. So yeah, not a central issue to the election, and it's definitely not something that the voters are looking at. But an important issue if you ask these city officials and these cities who really haven't been paid in over 8 years, in some cases over 8 years now.
All right. Thank you, Rohit, for getting us all the insights on this story. We'll be coming back to you for more updates on US elections. Former Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who has been hitting the campaign trail for Donald Trump, has officially crossed the aisle to the Republican Party. The woman who once stood shoulder to shoulder with the Democratic establishment is now throwing her weight behind the conservatives. The former president called Gabbard onto the stage amid thunderous cheers from the crowd, now calling her someone that everybody loves, and praised her for having common sense. Gabbard took the stage in front of a massive crowd in North Carolina. She praised Donald Trump for his America First policies, claiming that the Democratic Party had lost its way. Now, in a speech filled with sharp critique of a former party, Gabbard cited everything from rising woke politics to what she called the Democrats' anti-America agenda. In fact, Gabbard's transformation from a progressive Democrat to a conservative darling has been playing out for some time now. She had previously announced that she had left the Democratic Party but had remained an independent until now. Now, Gabbard recently joined the Trump campaign as an honorary co-chair for his transition team alongside Robert F. Kennedy Jr., another former Democrat. She also served as vice chair of the Democratic National Committee from the year 2013 through 2016 before resigning to officially endorse Bernie Sanders for president. Now, Gabbard also ran for president in the year 2020 but couldn't make it through the primaries. So what's next for Gabbard? Now, many see Gabbard's defection as a betrayal, especially given her previous progressive positions on issues such as healthcare and climate change. In fact, some of her former Democratic colleagues have even suggested that this was all a part of a long-term strategy to align herself with the right. Now, political analysts are already speculating about Gabbard's future. So, could she be eyeing a new political role within the Republican Party? Well, some have even floated the idea that Gabbard could become a key player in Trump's 2024 campaign, or perhaps make a run for office again, this time as Republican. Now, the possibilities are wide open, but her new GOP connection certainly suggests that she is ready to play a major role in shaping the future of the Republican Party. Now, our White House correspondent Rohit Sharma earlier spoke to Tulsi Gabbard when she spoke at length about her decision to switch sides as well as Trump's vision for a better America. Listen in to this exclusive conversation.
And joining us is Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. She has been a leading voice and advocate for President Trump. She's been campaigning across the nation to get President Trump elected. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us today.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, Congresswoman, you were a Democrat and you ran a presidential campaign in 2020, and now you have endorsed President Trump. What made you change your decision and becoming, endorsing President Trump, and what was the reason for you to do so?
Oh, first of all, I left the Democrat Party a few years ago because today's Democrat Party is controlled and led by this elitist cabal of warmongers who are undermining our freedom, fundamentally censoring free speech, undermining the rule of law and our democratic republic. There are many examples that I could give you. I wrote a book explaining in great detail why I left the Democrat Party. It's called For Love of Country, Leave the Democrat Party Behind. And in this election, the choice was very clear for me in why I endorsed President Trump over Vice President Kamala Harris. It is because of those fundamental rights and freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution and the words that our founders had for us in this country as Americans, our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Under Vice President Harris over these past 4 years, along with Joe Biden, they have undermined our freedom and continue to do so. They have weaponized government entities to go after their political opponents. I've personally experienced political retaliation by this administration, putting me on a domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies just one day after I did an interview criticizing Kamala Harris's record as vice president and talking to the American people about the dangerous consequences of a Kamala Harris presidency. They have ruined our economy, increased the cost of living. We're seeing increased crime, open borders, over tens of millions of illegal immigrants coming across our borders, many of them actually violent convicted criminals coming from other countries. And on a foreign policy front, they have embroiled us in multiple wars in different parts of the world and have pushed us to the brink of World War III and closer to nuclear war than we ever have been before. On every account, the choice is clear that President Trump in this election is our best hope as a country to get back on that path where we can look to a future of peace and freedom and prosperity for all Americans.
And, Congresswoman, a lot of people in India especially are waiting the outcome of this election. What would a Trump 2.0 presidency mean for relations with India? Do you see what would be your, analysis of that? Can you shed some light on that?
As we saw back through President Trump's first administration in 2016, and it continues to this day, how much he values his personal relationship with Prime Minister Modi. First of all, they've got a very good personal and strong relationship, but how much he values the relationship between the United States and India. The opportunity there for mutual prosperity and security is something that I know both of these countries' leaders are very committed to. I think that President Trump would make it a priority to meet with Prime Minister Modi very quickly after he is elected and sworn in as president, to be able to build progress and move forward again on those areas of mutual interest, which is peace, freedom, and prosperity.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for speaking with us as we get closer to the election.
Thank you.
We'll probably talk to you again. Thank you so much for joining us.
It looks like Trump's one-day shift at the McDonald's has cooked up some serious controversy. It turns out that while the former president was flipping burgers for a campaign stunt, the health inspectors were flipping out. Critics are now pointing out that Trump did not maintain health and hygiene standards while serving at the fast food joint. In what was supposed to be a picture-perfect campaign moment, Trump took over the counter at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania, serving burgers and fries to enthusiastic supporters. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and Trump proclaimed his love for Big Macs. But now, just days later, Trump is being called out for not wearing gloves or a hairnet or only an apron on his shirt. Now, some reports claim that Trump went to work at the restaurant even without washing his hands. Critics argue that if Trump cannot follow basic food safety regulations, how can he be trusted with the bigger responsibilities of running the country? Now, what's adding more insult to this injury is that this McDonald's restaurant had recently failed its health inspection. The Department of Health had highlighted employees not having hands clean and properly washed as the main reason for the failure. And the department also criticized the eatery for failing to keep some of its food at the proper temperature. So whether you're craving burgers or just following the latest political headlines, if you're a Trump supporter, there's no happy meal for you. Whether it's harmless mistake or a sign of bigger problems, one thing's for sure, Trump's McDonald's shift isn't fading from the headlines anytime soon. And now it's time to talk in numbers. With less than a month remaining for the US presidential polls, the race for the White House remains quite intense. Vice President Kamala Harris is maintaining a narrow lead nationally and a neck-to-neck battle in the swing states. So let's take a look at how both the presidential contenders are faring in polls today. According to the New York Times poll, Harris is leading in the national polls with an approval rating of about 49%, while Trump is trailing at 47%. In the swing state of Wisconsin, Harris is still maintaining a lead at about 49%, while Trump is at 48%. Now, in the states of North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, along with Nevada, both Harris and Trump are logged in at an approval rating of about 48%. In the state of Arizona, Trump has taken a lead this time with a rating of about 49%, while Harris is now at 47%. And in the state of Georgia, Trump is again leading with an approval rating of about 49%, while Harris is at 48%. So with just a few days remaining for the elections, it looks like that polls are swinging from left to right every day. And now it's time to get you some political updates from the US that you might have missed. First up, famous American rapper Eminem has stepped up into the political arena as he introduced former President Barack Obama at a Detroit rally. Now, the pop star went on to say that people should not be afraid of retribution or of making their opinions heard. Now, adding that Harris supports a future for the country that enables such activities. Now, the appearance by Obama and Eminem comes just days before early voting kicks off across Michigan. Next up, US President Joe Biden has said that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and should be locked up politically. Now, Biden made the remarks at a campaign event in New Hampshire where he urged Democrats to ensure victory in the November 5th election. Biden also noted that Trump seeks to undermine the guarantee of the US Constitution, warning that democracy is at stake if Trump defeats Democratic candidate Kamala Harris. And last up, with just a few days left for the election, Kamala Harris's campaign has got a hefty donation from Bill Gates. Now, according to a New York Times report, Gates donated a whopping $50 million to the Harris campaign. However, the contribution was meant to stay confidential, signaling a notable shift from Gates' approach to politics. Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of Race for the White House. Stay tuned to India Today Global for more updates on US elections.